welcome back to my channel, as Maya May would say. I'm currently in Ghana, in Accra, and I just thought I'll do this video. This video is about a village life in Ghana. Okay, obviously there's difference with the rural and the urban part of the country. So Accra is the city, and then you have like different spots that are the village. A few days ago I actually went to Volta region, certain parts of the Volta region. For example, obviously there's villages in the eastern, in the north and central and different parts, but I went to the Volta region and there was quite a few villages there that I went past. And I just want to talk to you guys about what village life is, what they do, the difference between the city and the village, and how they kind of live their lives as well, if you're interested, because I think it's quite interesting. So yeah, keep watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and let's get into this. So like I said, we're going to be talking about the village life in Ghana. So if you were to imagine life without what should I use? Life without Starbucks, life without your French fries, your pizzas, life without your cell phone, like your phone, for example. I mean, some villages do have some phones that they use. Life without that, and then life without hot or cold. Yeah. Right. So things like hot running water and things like that, even light, electricity, it's something that some of us take for granted. Yeah, so some of these comforts that we take for granted are things that are a luxury to quite a lot of people, especially in the village areas. They don't tend to have things like that. They tend to grind and don't have so much of social media and things like that, privileges, things like that. So it's a bit of a difference there. And there are times when some of us can't even live without AC, aircon, in the heat. Almost every house in the city has aircon because of the heat. But obviously in the village, it's something that they're happy to live without, because that's what they know. They're used to the heat. They have to get used to quite a lot of things because those privileges are not there. So let's start with the village. So in the typical West African country, village, for example, waking up at 7 o'clock, 8 a.m. is kind of a luxury. Literally, it is a luxury, because they will consider that as being late. Right. So before that time, most people tend to wake up around 5, 6 a.m. pretty early than that, to try and, get the laundry done, get the jobs done before the heat, escalates and comes out later on. It is still quite warm around that time, 5, 6 a.m. It is still quite warm, but that's the best time to do your laundry and get it out before the scorching heat, comes through. So stay in the city, for example, is completely different. What I've noticed is that, like my household, for example, the compound where I stay in, they do wake up 5, 6 a.m. as well, mostly 6. You see them doing a lot of the chores before they go to school, before they go to work. There's a lot of laundry being done. Literally every day is a laundry day. Sweeping around the compound, doing jobs, getting things prepared for the day before they step out. Sometimes you hear music playing as well, like blasting in the house that very early in the morning. Sometimes you can hear the frogs and the roosters making so much noise. You hear the traffic, because we're kind of like near the main road, so you hear traffic very, very early on in the morning. So in the village, for example, they tend to wake up very early. And I mean, the village that I went to, near Yayra, is near the Volta region. I went there. That is a village in the middle of nowhere. There's no road. There is a road, but it's not tarmac. It's not done properly, if you know what I mean. It's more like in the bush, kind of off-road, if that makes sense. You know, there are shops, there's amenities, there's certain things that they need to live, but it's not developed. That's what I meant to say. It's not developed. So in the morning, for example, in the village, they would go looking for, you know, like plucking cassava, because like there's a farm there, so they grow natural food and veg and things like that. So cassava and plantain, for example, they'll go plucking that off, and then they'll come and pound fufu very early in the morning, or cook those dishes. Some of them eat fufu and banku very early in the morning at that time, and they're used to it, right? They're used to it. So for those who don't know, fufu, cassava, kenke, banku, things like that, they are like starchy foods. They're quite heavy, to be fair, carbohydrates, but that's what they used to eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner. They don't complain what time they eat those. So yeah, so like I said, after breakfast the children will walk to school, and the school is usually a long walk. It's just things are out of place. Even medical hospitals as well are really far out. The children will walk to school, and probably in the village, one school will serve about 6 villages, for example, 6 to 7 villages. They share one school, one medic. Like, it is not a place that's developed, so those kind of necessities are not very common. And because the walk to the school is so long, can you imagine though, they finish school and they walk all the way back? That is tiring in itself. They come back, some of them will play, some will go straight into doing chores and things like that. So there's a lot of walking in the heat as well. Just try and imagine that. That is a lot. So after playing, maybe helping the parents with cooking meals and things like that, sometimes the grandparents or the women will tell stories to the children. Times they'll sit under the tree and just like, you know, take in the air and tell stories. And it's more of a chilled vibe in the village. Yes, there's things to do, don't get me wrong, and once all those things are done, they get the time to kind of like chill and just like spend. If you don't know yet, music is the food for the soul in Africa. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, there'll be music blasting, even in the village as well. It is the soul, like the food for the soul. So sometimes you hear drumming. So in the village, for example, they'll play drums, they will dance, they'll do some singing. In the city, they'll be playing music. So village life, for example, like I said, it's unrushed. It's not like the city at all. Everything's so calm and cool and collected. So although there are a lot of things to do in the day, it's still under a calm kind of like vibe. It's not as fast paced as in the city, for example. Like, for example, in the city, you have the traffic, the noise of the traffic, the pace and the speed of everything. You have the vendors and the hawkers just rushing in traffic to hustling, you know, to make money. Everything is very fast paced in the city, of course, but the village is very opposite to that. So the village, for example, they do share a lot of tradition and history. So instead of TV, for example, they will use that time to tell stories. Yeah, so instead of watching TV, there will be stories being told, stories about the country, history, slavery, and things like that, the tradition and culture of the country as well. So kids learn through these kind of stories rather than just sitting in front of the TV and watching, you know, they're very proactive and very the storytellers, you know. Professions are usually passed down from the grandparents, the parents to the children. So farming, for example, fishing, for example, is passed down to the kids as well. So they learn that trade, and then they grow up. It's something that they do when they grow up as well, especially in the village where there's not a lot of things to do, educational side of it. There's only a limited amount that you can learn unless you move out of the move out of the village into the city to study. There's only the basic that you would know, so a lot of the parents tend to teach their kids how to farm, how to fish, how to do some life skills that they would need in the future. And in the village as well, they tend to spend a lot of time, and a lot of time as well. There's time spent with neighbors and people in the area, so they quickly become friends and know each other, if that makes sense. So you can't just walk past and see someone and wave and say hi and then carry on. There's a lot of good mornings, good afternoons, whether you know the person or not. To which you respond, and then you get to talking about your business, your family, your life. And I mean, it's not a compulsory thing to do, but it's just a way of start striking that conversation with someone that you walk past every day or someone you see quite often. It's good because a lot of people in the city are usually on the phone, or just like everyone's so busy with work and life, they just don't really tend to mind somebody that they're walking past. Or there's still the good mornings and things, greetings and things, but time is not spent talking to one another as you would in the village, because I feel like there's a lot of distraction here in the city as opposed to the village. So in the village, people have time for each other, if that makes sense. So in the village, for example, say it's market day, you've been farming, you've been, doing your work. People do take things that they've grown, plucked, they take it to the market. The market can be quite far away, so they walk quite a long miles, kilometers or whatever, to the market to sell the produce. Or fishing as well. They take the fishes that they've so they take the produce from the farm to sell things that they can grow, and times they buy things that they cannot grow and they use them to cook, or they come and try and regrow that. So there's a lot of exchange going on, but everything seems to be quite far away from the village itself where they live. So generally, I mean, people in the city are happy to a certain extent. There's a lot of things that people in the city will take for granted because it's it's a luxury, it's something that they've been used to. Whereas village life, people haven't been exposed to that yet because they've been in the village. That's what they know. So there's a lot of things that they don't take for granted. So sometimes it's refreshing to go to the village. Sometimes. I admire a lot of people that I see and the things that they do. Really, really, I admire that. But I just feel that sometimes we need to, appreciate some of these things because times, obviously, when you're so used to something, you just forget the value of it. So, yeah. I would ask you to go to the village if you haven't been yet. Just take a trip for the day. It will do wonders for you. You'll get to know a lot of your culture, your tradition, and everything like that. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment, like, and share. If you haven't subscribed yet, guys, make sure you do subscribe, and I'll be back again with another video. Take care and have a good week.